Sterling say, I'm going places. Tell them.
Going places!
I felt like I was just closing myself into this design box, you know, and I needed a creative escape to really just kind of remind myself like I was special, I was gifted, I was talented, I was creative. My name is G-Pack, from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a painter, muralist, clothing designer, just all-around artist. So I started drawing when I was 7. I fell in love with anime, I fell in love with cartoons. I like making my own little comic books. I could really just go into that world and just be whoever I wanted to be, tell my own stories, and just really just explore the medium of art and color. And when I got to college, you know, I honed my skills with drawing. I was gonna study architecture, but I felt like I was just closing myself into this design box, you know, and I needed a creative escape to really just kind of remind myself like I was special, I was gifted, I was talented, I was creative. And I remember one day in my dorm, I had an old canvas from high school, you know, one of my art classes. And I was like, I'm painting over this thing, man. Like, I'm just gonna like reintroduce myself as this creative that I felt like I was. And I think ever since then, I just haven't stopped painting. So. I think the biggest challenge, not even knowing it was a challenge, was how to communicate my art to the audience, right? I always thought I was one of the greatest, even when I wasn't. But, you know, how to market myself, how to share my art, how to present my art, all of these things feed into the experience of the art itself. And I think once I really started to pay attention of like, you know, internet trends and how I can make myself different, that's when I think the art was more easily digestible. I was always putting the work in and getting better each year, but sometimes I felt like it just wasn't reaching to people's cores, if you will. And once I really found out how to just speak and reach that audience and keep my audience engaged, I just saw like the most tremendous growth in my following and support and just success. In a perfect world, I like to take my time, you know? It really starts with an initial vision. Sometimes that either comes to me from listening to music on repeat. I can kind of just see where I need to take something. Sometimes when I'm driving, sometimes based on a conversation, I might just get a glimpse of something real quick, but it sits, you know? From there, I do my research. I find the references. Luckily now we have AI technology. We can create our references. So sometimes I dabble in that. But I like just the hunt of just finding the aesthetic, the feel of how to bring what's in here to a reference point that I can actually like come back to as I'm working. From there, I like to set up. I like a real clean workspace, light a candle or something, you know, real quiet, say a prayer, get into my, you know, spiritual space and just get straight to it, man. Just paint on canvas. As an artist, the most important part of your job is to figure out how to communicate that to a broader audience. So lately, the Doberman and just all canines have been like super effective for me to express some of my deeper and more, I guess, convoluted thoughts and feelings. Because everyone relates to a dog. Everyone knows what it is, they can identify it. It's very forgiving. I don't have to be as precise when doing dog portraits as if I was doing a portrait of, you know, a celebrity or a loved one. But in that universe, you know, with the Doberman, I can get dark, I can get spiritual, I can get happy, I can get playful. That's just been a very common theme that I can just really tap into lately. So I try to kind of keep things somewhat in that world, even if it's just a play off the word, you know, all dogs go to heaven, or, you know, dog spelled backward is God, or things like that. It's just trying to figure out how I can take this broad subject and spin it into little, super precise visions. One of the most memorable experiences in my career, definitely my solo exhibit, Demon Dogs, Washington, D.C., this past June. One of the most challenging, exhilarating, most vulnerable things that I've ever done. From start to finish, my curator and I, Bria Soul, we were locked in. We really built this exhibit from the ground up, and everything that went into it exceeded all of my expectations. The turnout, the support, the way the pieces lined up and communicated with one another. Family members came out, people flew in from out of town. It was just an iconic, just loving moment. I just felt so much love. And I think it was one of those moments where it's kind of like, okay, like you are who you think you are, keep going. Like just that confirmation. My name is G-Pack, and this is who I am.